With the Age of Sorcery ushering in the building system rework, reinventing the way we'll all be building our bases in the future, I thought I'd put together 5 more useful building tips to help you build better with the building system rework. So without further ado, let's get started. First up is menu jumping. Whilst the new building menu is a vast improvement over manual crafting or the admin panel, it is indeed still cumbersome in some areas, and having to scroll up and down the categories if you're using multiple materials is a pain at the best of times. If you're using, say, Numidian and insulated wood, every time you open that menu to pick a new material you'll have to scroll up or down. To remedy this, it's a good idea to keep a set of commonly used building pieces to hand. In my opinion, the best way to do this, either with decorations or with building pieces, is to create a small section not too far away from your builds with the materials you'll need. That way you can flick between the build you're working on and your material collection, use the pick piece button to quickly pick up whatever you need and then continue on with your build seamlessly. This is incredibly useful for decorations where you most often find yourself jumping back and forth between many different categories. Whilst pinpointing the exact items you need ahead of time is definitely preferable, even just being able to jump to certain commonly used submenus is a massive streamlining improvement to avoid scrolling endlessly through menus. With the addition of sorcery, there is definitely going to be a proliferation of sorceress towers, but this one just ain't it. This isn't magical or menacing, it's just boring. One of the new features of the building overhaul is that the snap points of sloping sides have been improved. They now snap on both the side and the bottom, making them far easier to use and much more consistent. If we want to make this tower truly sorcerous, let's start with some spikes. Let's wipe off the roof and start with a flat plane on top. From there we can add a wall on every other tile in a similar style to battlements. Then grab your sloping sides and begin to snap them onto the new walls in line with the walls below. Once that's done, add inverted sloping sides beneath and then place some roofs to fill in the gaps. You can then also use wedge sloped roof pieces if you like to add a spiky accent to capitalise on that evil look. For taller towers, you can also add smaller buttresses in line with the shaping up top, which helps even further with developing and capitalising on the shape you've already established above. Towers are great, but honestly it's far too easy to make a disappointingly boring tower. I should know I've probably made hundreds of them. With the new improvements of the building overhaul, shaping improvements like these are now much more consistent and viable to use in your own tower builds. Another improvement of the building overhaul is ignore stability. It does pretty much what it says on the tin and completely disregards stability loss, allowing you to make some really funky builds. Firstly, let's take a look at this tower. Usually trying to hang anything off these towers would be a stability nightmare, but no longer. With the ignore stability setting, you can build to your heart's content. I'll be using this to build shaped hangers that can add extra traversable space to this tower without needing any extra support structures underneath. I actually first saw this recently from another Conan builder, though unfortunately I can't for the life of me remember who it was. Of course it's been done with mods before, but the addition of ignore stability loss makes these fantastical and unique designs not only easier to achieve, but actually possible to construct natively without needing any mods. Whilst you will need access to admin permissions or to be on a server that has ignore stability loss enabled to use this feature, it's a great addition for the unmodded builders out there. If you've been here for a while, you may remember a long time ago in a previous building tips video that I showed you how to make 8 tile wide bridges by manipulating how stability interacts with other pieces. Well, now you can extend that to 12 tile bridges without needing to fiddle with the ignore stability setting. To do so, you'll need to put 20 feat points into expertise and select the structural integrity perk at level 20, which makes structures you build 25% more stable. To cut through the math, this means you can build 6 tiles away from any source of 100 stability. Therefore, if you plan ahead, you can build a base separated by a 12 tile long bridge. Of course, this works for land bridges and large archways too, but this just allows far more flexibility with your builds. As a side note, if you're using bridge pieces from the Debaucheries of Decketo DLC, it seems this method doesn't work great for the regular or long bridge pieces for whatever reason. I instead opt for the short bridge pieces, which are 1 tile long, and this works perfectly fine. The best part about this tip is you don't need to keep those 20 points in expertise either. Once the pieces are placed, they stay, even if you respec out of expertise. Now if these pieces break or are accidentally removed, you will likely need to spec back into structural integrity to replace those pieces, but with a bit of care that shouldn't happen. This tip is a great way to improve your bridges and capitalise on the verticality and traversability that most builds previously couldn't benefit from due to stability concerns. Finally, extra long elevators. If you aren't already aware, both vertical and horizontal elevators can stretch out to a hefty 32 tiles. Previously, this was extremely hard to capitalise on due to stability issues in calculating that gap, but it's now much easier with ignore stability loss. Much like the previous tip, this massively helps with increased verticality and traversability between bases. 32 tiles isn't a huge amount, you won't be crossing the entire map on a single elevator, but it opens up your avenues of movement and space much more than before. Of course, you could chain elevators together with stations to transition between them, allowing you to climb gargantuan heights or travel vast horizontal distances using maybe only 3 or 4 elevators. This is great for your roleplay, unofficial PvE or single player worlds, and I could see it working really well for something steampunk inspired. And there we have it, 5 more building tips to help you create better builds in Conan Exiles. I said in the last building tips video that would probably be the last, but I do actually think this one will be the last. It proves increasingly difficult to come up with tips that I haven't already covered in previous episodes, and a lot of the larger tips I come up with would better serve as their own individual build better videos, such as on walls, stairs and roofs like I've covered before. Nevertheless, I hope you all enjoyed this video and found these tips helpful. If you enjoy my content, all the links to my Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, Host Havoc affiliate page, NordVPN discount and NordPass discount are available in the description below. However, of course, you can simply just leave a like, a comment or subscribe, any of those are very greatly appreciated. Patrons get a bunch of nice benefits including sneak peeks of videos, your name in every video, custom made wallpapers in 1080p and 4K resolutions, full-size build blueprints, Discord roles and more. That being said, a massive thanks to all of our esteemed coffee cultists on screen now for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.